Wonderful people of the internet, and welcome back to the Anything Literally podcast. We're on episode 7. That's a lot of episodes, especially as they're 50 minutes each. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about the world of post-production, but first, Harry has some breaking news.
Yeah, I have single-handedly saved Nikon from going bust. So last night, I might have bought the Z6 II and with the adapter, and it costs a lot of money, and I now feel a lot more poorer than I did beforehand.
So last week's conversation about cameras paid off.
Yes,
what we're saying.
Basically, yeah. I was planning to buy the Blackmagic Pocket Pro, the new one, 6K, but I realised I definitely do more photo than video, so I thought, why not just upgrade my photo camera instead of upgrading video camera? So that's what I done. Yeah.
I think it's an alright choice. It's pretty good, equal.
It does, apparently, it does, 4K raw recording externally via HDMI. So really, I haven't lost anything.
You don't have an external recorder.
I don't have an external recorder. Yeah. I'm going to steal Ben's.
Down the drain.
I'm just going to steal Ben's. It's all right.
Does Ben's actually do RAW? So Ben's got the Blackmagic video assist.
No, I don't know, actually.
I think
I've got
it only
the
does
old one,
ProRes.
so I know the new one might, but ProRes is still really
the
good.
Atmos Shinobi, or something similar. Ninja.
Yeah,
the
one all
Ninja
the
does
YouTubers use.
RAW recording. That's quite a good one. But it's also £800. And you
Right,
have to
I'll
buy the
buy
SSDs.
it now.
It's very expensive. This is what we've realised. Modern technology is expensive. Anyway.
Yes.
Well done, Harry. You have single-handedly saved Nikon as their sales were plummeting to the floor until you bought the Z6 II.
Just my one sale. I can hear the CEO just crying in happiness right now.
He's just sat in his office celebrating.
This also gives us an excuse to take the mick out of Nikon for the rest of Harry's life.
Yes, he stayed with them instead of moving to the gods of Sony. It's a bold move.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
what can I say?
The world
like
of post-production. Shall we do that? Possibly?
Yeah. Let's move to post-production.
I wanted to talk to people about post-production today. So Ben invited me to this new app that I'd never really heard of called... Hold on, I've forgotten the name of it already.
Cameo. No, not Cameo.
No, not Cameo, Clubhouse. So Ben invited me to an app called Clubhouse the other day, and I started listening to some of the live talks that are on Clubhouse. They're very interesting. Some of them go on for a very long time, like a podcast, but live. And one of them was talking about post-production and how people do post-production, and that got me wondering how us three do post-production in terms of video and photos. So I wanted to talk to Ben and Harry about how they do video post-production. So the first kind of question is, which software do you guys use?
Depends
All of them.
on what.
So you've got a long form video project, a short film documentary. What are you editing that on?
I'll let Harry go first.
Well, I would say probably... I would probably be more likely to go towards Premiere Pro because I know that one quite well. However, I've been recently using DaVinci more. So if it was like a high-paying but needed it done really quickly, I'd probably go Premiere Pro just because I know it well enough to do it quickly.
Yeah.
However, if I had a little bit longer time, I'll probably stick with DaVinci because I don't know it quite as well as Premiere Pro.
Okay. And Ben, what do you use?
It depends on it does depend on the video. So most of the time I'm a Premiere editor just because I've got into the Adobe Suite recently, getting a lot better at it. But it depends on what it is, because like if it's a uni project, because uni is based around Avid and their ecosystem, I'll go to Avid, Media Composer for the people that don't know. And then the Pro Tools workflow for the audio. But if it's my personal project, say we're shooting it for Ben Collins Media, we're going out this weekend and shooting it, it'll be a Premiere Pro job. And then if I'm feeling adventurous, I'll put it in DaVinci and grade it that way, or I'll grade it internally through Premiere. But the grading, color grading side of it is so much better in DaVinci than anything else. So
I mean,
if I've got
DaVinci
the
is the
time and
best.
effort, it'll go into DaVinci.
Mm.
But yeah, because I've got Studio 15 DaVinci, which I need to upgrade because everybody else is on 16 or 17.
I'm on 17.
But yeah, it's really good for color grading. The node workflow is a thing you'll have to learn. I've learnt it through uni, luckily. So I've sort of learnt it that way. But yeah, it just takes time. Editing is a time-consuming beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in terms
and
of software,
you don't want to rush it either, even if
Yeah.
because it just goes bad quickly.
yeah, you want to take your time on it. In terms of software for me, if it's a quick edit, like if I'm doing something for the school, I'll just bang it into Final Cut because it's a snappy magnetic timeline that is really
Yeah,
easy
I used to do the same, but Final Cut, there's something about it I don't like.
There's not
Just
enough
'cause
control.
I've only
Yeah.
used Final Cut for one project I did many years ago now, long before I was actually doing video stuff. It was a DOV video. It wasn't even video, it was more like a slideshow because I mostly only took photos. But I honestly, I hated it. It was so bad.
Oh.
Like, iMovie I've used, I thought it was dreadful. I used it.
Yeah,
like,
iMovie is
for
dreadful.
one thing, and I never touched it again. And then Final Cut, I just like it.
Depends on.
It was just bad.
Depends on the version of iMovie, because the new iMovie is very similar to Final Cut.
Yeah, it is. I've noticed that.
Maybe the newer versions of Final Cut are better. I've heard a lot of people say the newer versions are better, but I'm still not going to touch it. I can't, mostly because I haven't got an Apple product to do it on. But still, I wouldn't touch it.
So Dan, for a more professional video, what would you use?
I would use Premiere. So for a more long
Premiere
form
boy.
thing, like my EPQ project I've just finished, that was all done in Premiere. But for like quick assembly edits, I'll just bang it in Final Cut and get it done in an hour, kind of thing.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, another point is we should bring up is like, so for the viewers out there, we work quite closely as us three and sometimes Tom work quite closely on edits and stuff. So for all of them, we use Premiere just because of the ease of use of being able to share a Premiere project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, if we all have the footage, it's so easy to send it to you guys so you guys can do a cut, then send it to me so I can grade it. It's just ease of use that way. And I'm hopefully doing some church edits in a couple of weeks, and they'll be the same. Like, me and Joel will both have the footage, but just transfer the projects, and then so you can both edit it. So that works, though. I really like, especially because of lockdown and we're all separate. You can't just come into somebody's house and watch the edit.
Yeah.
Well, you could, but you just get arrested afterwards.
Yeah, arrested and fined. It's fine.
I'm not. I don't.
Yeah.
Would you get arrested? I think it's just a fine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a
No,
fine
it depends
at the moment.
on how serious.
Depends if you're having a house party or not. Whilst editing.
Yeah, nobody should do that, just to clear that up.
Yeah.
We do not recommend it. We haven't done it. Nobody we know has done it. So just to clear that up.
Anyway.
But yeah, no, I like Adobe. Avid's a hell of a workflow. I've had some bad times in Avid, but yeah.
I see. I've heard from people I've heard who've used it, Avid. They say it's one of those things you need to learn if you want to go professional, because that's what they use in proper studios and stuff. But they say at the same time they hate it.
Yeah.
It's
because it's just not. It's not modern enough.
No, it's modern now. It's just so you know how Premiere has like when you put a key. So when like a cross dissolve, Premiere has cross dissolves and stuff like that. Avid does not have that unless you have a plugin. Everything is plugin based.
Yeah,
which
money,
is
money,
really
money.
annoying. Yeah, no, it's not just that. It's if you look at the Oscars, like I think 99% of the films were edited in Avid and mixed in Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Because so for the people at home who don't know, Avid is the professional video editing software. It's Media Composer is what it's really called. But it goes alongside their products, which is Pro Tools. So like Premiere has Audition, Avid has Pro Tools, which sync across like perfectly. You can open projects in either one, and then Avid also supports exporting and opening projects in DaVinci, so you can color grade them, because Avid knows that people want to color grade in DaVinci.
Yeah.
So it's like an all-in-one workflow for like very high-end professionals. But at like university, they teach you it. I learned it over the summer in preparation for university. But yeah, it's a very professional grade. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody who's just starting out. You sort of have to have an understanding of other software before you go into it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start becoming a YouTuber, and that's the only one I'm going to use.
I don't know any YouTubers who edit in Avid. God, that would be a workflow and a half just for one video.
I don't know if any of them do. If they do, they've gone crazy.
Avid also has a really good hardware system as well. Like you can get Avid desks, Pro Tool desks, Avid accelerators and stuff like that, and DaVinci accelerators. And that all works into the workflow because professionals don't really render on their own system.
No,
for time they render.
For Premiere Pro, you can get some stickers for your keyboard if you want. You have to buy those third party though.
Talking about that, so what do you guys not like about Premiere? So if we just use that as an example.
What do I not like?
I know everybody has hates.
Well, I think the biggest one out of all of it would be the color grading. Mm-hmm. It's dreadful. I mean, for like minor touch-ups, it's okay, but anything that you want to look nice, it's just horrible.
It's okay once you get your head around it, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It doesn't have the nice node system, does it?
No. I think it's not something I hate about it, but something I actually quite like is on the newer versions of it, you get I've forgotten what they call them. It's like the animated titles you can put in.
So like essential graphics.
Yeah, those. When they added that in, I thought it was amazing because I no longer have to open up After Effects to edit something, then export it, then render it onto it, then import it. I can just put the file in and it goes, oof, I can do that and push it in.
Yeah,
it's very
brilliant,
useful, especially
amazing.
for run and gun.
Because when it got released, I was doing a lot of corporate videos at the time, and they always liked that sort of stuff. So I was having to make loads of them for this, and it was so tedious. And when I realised I could do this, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's a really useful feature. I've heard a lot about it from people like you who do like corporate videos and stuff like that. It's not really used in the film world, but it's
I would never
corporate
use it for
videos and stuff. yeah. It's partially because you don't really own the copyright. I don't know how that works, but
well, it depends on if you made it from scratch or anything, or you
exactly.
bought it from someone.
The
only annoying thing though is if you don't have the font,
100%,
it can get a little bit annoying because sometimes Adobe Fonts sometimes picks up on it and corrects it for you, and then other times it's like, nope, I'm having hissy fit, and you have to go into the files and change the file type for it. So it's annoying.
Adobe Fonts is great though. Like
when it
the
works,
amount
it's
of
great.
fonts you get in your package. Yeah. But no, my biggest annoyance in Premiere is, I know Dan, I've shown this to Dan before, I don't know if I have you. Dan, do you know the gamma glitch?
Oh yes, the gamma glitch when exporting. Yeah,
so Joel, a good friend of mine, Joel, introduced me to this problem a while ago. But basically, when you export a video in Premiere, but imagine your Premiere's completely default settings, for example, you export a video and the grade of the final video will look different from the grade you've done in Premiere. Because basically, it doesn't apply the correct gamma curve. And gamma curves affect contrast and exposure. So, I know Matti Hapoya on YouTube has done a video about this, explaining it probably much better than I'm going to. And there is a fix. So basically, if you export videos like that, you'll notice a problem. So there's a fix where you can add a gamma curve in your export, which is like an LUT you put on after the fact. But then I always go, I'm grading it for this look. I want it to be exactly this look. Why doesn't Premiere just do that?
Yeah.
Close Adobe.
Yeah, it's so annoying. And it's been around for like 4 or 5 years. It's not like something that's recent.
I think another glitch that's really annoying, that's been annoying for this podcast entirely on the video versions, is the text moving on an After Effects render.
It's only a problem for you though.
I don't
I
know
feel
why.
like it's just you.
So for people who don't watch the videos, or people who do watch videos, the handles, the Instagram handles, not usually for Dan for some reason, but for me and Ben, they shift over slightly. Okay. and I don't know why. Okay, I double check it every single time before I render it. Like the last one, I like triple checked it. Right, that's definitely in the middle. Save. That definitely in the middle. Save again, just in case. Save again. And then I went through it again. I zoomed in on the preview on Media Encoder. It was in the right position. Exported it, rendered. It had moved, and it had moved in the file as well. And I was so annoyed at this that I've locked the file now. Those little text things. So hopefully they do not move again. If they do, I'm going to send a ranty email. I'm going to send a ranty email to Adobe saying fix it.
For the audience at home, Harry has been complaining about this feature for the last like 3 weeks. Constantly.
Yeah, it's really annoying because it takes forever to render these videos because of the audio waveform, and then when they're done, you're like, oh, it's not done correctly.
For the people at home, we normally record these on a Tuesday. Today we're recording on a Monday because we've got a video shoot tomorrow. Yeah, I've got a video shoot, so I can't record on a Tuesday. But usually we record on a Tuesday. I edit the audio straight afterwards, and then Harry exports the video like overnight into the night, so it's out Wednesday morning, so it can go onto the platforms. So it takes Harry's PC a couple of hours to export, and then if he finds out it's wrong, that's a whole nother redo.
Yeah,
hence why if you go back on some of the YouTube videos, you'll notice that error because we just didn't want to fix it.
Basically that, yeah.
That brings up a good point about final checking, though.
Yeah, error checking.
Yeah, I've made some massive cock-ups before not checking videos. Trying to think of some that come to mind. I did a parody video for college. Do you remember this, Dan? And so I overlaid all my footage over the original music video, and then I accidentally deleted a clip in the middle of it, so the original music video was in the middle of my music video.
Yes, I remember that. That was very odd.
Have you done any errors like that, you guys?
So my biggest fear when I'm editing and I'm error checking at the end of it is spellings. If I've mucked up a spelling in the title credits or lower thirds, I'm going to be annoyed for the rest of my life. So what I do...
I have actually done that, though.
Yeah.
I have as well.
It's a common mistake that tends to pop up. What I tend to do is my mum used to be one of the head editors for Computer Weekly, which used to be a magazine that was quite popular. And the job of an editor for a magazine like that is you have to proofread everyone's work before it goes to print. So I just make my mum watch the video and then she checks all the spellings for me. It's quite useful.
I remember, here's a funny story. I remember, Dan, do you remember those flash year summary videos I used to do for the Weald?
Oh, the Weald in a minute.
Yeah, so I started a thing at the Weald where we used to do like for the final assembly or Gold Awards or something like that. We did like a year in a minute. Harry, you might remember this, you might not.
I'm trying to remember.
It was it was 100 seconds, I think.
The Weald in 100 seconds.
So basically, it was the year summary in 100 seconds, and you know how those Apple adverts flash up text really, really quickly and stuff like that.
Oh yes, I remember this now. Yeah.
So we did a couple of those for the school, and I remember I messed up a spelling in the middle of it, and we showed the video at the Gold Awards event, I believe it was, and as it was playing on the screen, I saw this spelling mistake. I was like, oh, damn.
It was the biggest face palm of that year. It was brilliant.
I have a very similar thing. So back in, I want to say year 8 or maybe year 9. I want to say year 8. Do you remember
a couple of years ago.
That week where we did like activities?
Ace Week activities.
Ace Week, yeah, that's it. I did the video one time, and it was in the English department. This was before media came around, and I can't remember the video what was on now. I remember throwing books on the floor. I don't really remember. But basically, our video was the best out of the group, and the teacher managed to convince Mr. Woodman to play it in assembly. I don't remember if you ever saw this happen. But I was like really embarrassed that this video had to be played because I didn't think it was very good at all. It was dreadful. But they wanted you to put credits at the end of it.
Oh no!
I managed to spell editor wrong.
Did you edit it?
I edited it and I spelled editor wrong. So my name on that is Editor Harry Shelton.
Oh, that puts you in a glowing light.
Everyone in the school saw it. I'm just glad it was a really fast credit, and I'm hoping people didn't see it. That embarrassed me all day. No one brought it up, so I'm assuming no one saw it, but still.
For the record to all the audience, these are videos from a good 5+ years ago.
Yeah, these were
we do not do this anymore in our professional work. Let's just clear that up.
Yeah. for our professional work now, when it comes to error
it goes through multiple
it's
people.
7 years ago for me, that one was.
Yeah.
I'm growing up.
Like, if we release a video now, it'd go through so many channels that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, so it tends to have 4 revisions normally. One will be pre-color, one will be post-color, one will have the titles and stuff.
And
And
each
Ben
of
will
them will
send
be
it
checked.
to all of us just to check.
Yeah, each of them will be checked
everything.
by a massive group. Yeah.
And then I'll go, oh, that's bad. You should redo that.
And that's when the next revision comes along.
We've got a music video for a band I won't mention at the weekend. We've been planning it for a while, and I know that's going to have a lot of edits.
Yeah, that's going to have a lot of fixes to it.
Because the whole atmosphere and narrative and stuff we're going for is very complex.
It's all right. We've got a month to edit it. It's all right.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. But I like to. This brings up in the next section. Like, how do you guys like to edit stuff? Because I know I like to lay the track down, like the video down, especially music videos, very close to when we've shot it.
Yeah.
So it's not sat there for a while. Because obviously on a music video shoot, I don't know if any of our audience shoot videos or not, but if you're on a shoot, you get into the vibe, you get into the atmosphere, you're listening to the song on repeat for a start, so you get a real vision of what it's going to look like, especially as an editor and like sort of director, which is what I usually do. You get that like goal in your head, and I always find it so much better for the edit if I lay it down as soon as possible after the day, because then I have a clear vibe, and then I'll come back to it either like a day or 2 later, and then I'll have a fresh batch of improvements. But as long as I've got like the overall look down, I'm happy.
Yeah,
I
Because
think
it puts my mind at ease.
for me, I think it's kind of like that. Most of the videos that I would do nowadays that like that is like a montage, not exactly a montage, but of like an event or something. So I think I'd start out by picking the music I want.
Yeah.
I've
I
probably
always
already done that before I've even gone to the event, to be fair. But I definitely don't like editing, or at least properly editing straight after it, because if it's like a long day event, you might be tired and you might not be thinking straight. And you can make mistakes, or you decide on something that isn't actually that good because your brain is trying to rush it. So I usually will just leave it for the night, get a clear mind in the morning, and then go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, it does depend on the video. Like, I think you're completely correct about having the song first. People should always do that.
Yeah.
If the main thing is about a song, it should be selected first.
Yeah, like the video is always so much better if the song is chosen first. Unless it's a documentary where the narrative is the most important thing, or a film, the song should be chosen first, especially an event. Like for the audience, we did loads of events like 2019 before COVID and all that, and I remember the videos that turned out the best for those events were ones we came into it with a song.
Yeah.
It's just it brings, because the energy you need to film, how quick paced you want it to be, Yeah,
because if you might film everything to be ready for like slow-mo and stuff, and then when you've selected the song, oh no, I need lots of energy, and now you just ruined it.
Yeah, exactly. I learned that on Soul Survivor, because like the Soul Survivor mix is the first thing you do for like the highlights video, just because it's the most vital part, and then you film around the song, and you film all the transitions around the song and stuff like that. It's a really important part, song choice.
I think laying it out the night that you film it is quite useful, especially for me. I tend to be quite forgetful in the grand scheme of things, and I will have forgotten what happened during the event, a couple of days after. So having a rough layout of the timeline, even if it's horribly cut, just a rough cut of what happened that day and how I want it to look, I think is quite helpful, and then coming
I
back
think-
to it.
I think it depends on if you're there shooting it as well.
Yeah.
Because we obviously do stuff, a lot of us, so we're in internal guys. We don't send it off to edit, or we're always, if you're editing it, you're usually there. But like,
I always send it to Universal Studios, you know.
I've edited stuff for other people, a lot in lockdown actually, like stuff people shot and sent to me, and they literally just needed the editing work. And I remember it feels weird because obviously you haven't been there, and depending on how good their notes are,
Yeah.
depends on how good your
Edit will come from it.
interpretation of what they want it to look like, especially when you're not the director. That's why I know a lot of directors love to edit themselves, just because of the...
I think that also
Yeah.
comes back to your whole idea of laying it out quickly after, because you're in the vibe of it. But when it comes to like a professional video, for like the music video, where everything is what we want is everything's been laid out, it's scripted, it's shot list, everything. You don't need to rush into the edit.
No, you
Because
don't.
you know exactly what it's going to be anyway, because we're following what we've written out.
Yeah.
And of course, anything we change, then we just add back into the scripts and make it ready.
I know your point. I just feel I always feel pumped after it, because I love editing. I always feel pumped to come back and actually like edit the footage. I really like looking through footage as well. Like, so when we're done a day, I'll look at the footage and go, "Oh, we've done a good job there." It just gives me that reassurance, you know. Like,
Yes.
Yeah. If you're doing
you've done a nice job. Yeah.
if you're doing an events video, what's your kind of process for picking out the clips you're going to use for that events video? If you get what I
that's a
mean.
good question.
Like, so What How Now, which is an event we did right before COVID came in last year, we
The
filmed
week
for an
before.
entire day and did the edit on the train ride back. What kind of thoughts went through your head when you were picking out footage to put in the timeline for that?
Why the hell am I doing it on a train?
Oh no, so we did it so quickly because obviously an event has hype around it if you release the video quickly afterwards.
Yeah.
It's the same reason like my dad's event, the Birmingham Tattoo, I shot the video the night of and released it the second day of the event.
Yeah.
So it builds hype around it and you get more social media following, you get more event coverage. It all benefits each other.
Yeah.
But the question about choosing clips is a hard one because I usually start with the stuff I've shot myself.
Yes, because you know
So I
what's
know,
good
like-
and what's not.
Yeah, because I know that stuff inside out because I shot it myself. And then I always, because we're quite good at communicating, so we always know, like, I know Dan's shooting close-ups at this point, or Ronin stuff, because Dan
Yeah.
shoots a lot of gimbal. So I'll then go, I need a gimbal shot here. Dan's got that. And then I'll skim through Dan's stuff, find that clip. Or if it's for How, it was Tom did all the close-ups on the long lens.
Yeah.
So I skim through that and get all his close-ups. It depends on the event, but that's how I usually do it. It's also like, so when we did Locksfest, for an example, to bring Harry into it, I knew Harry shot all the DJ stuff, so I went to him for the DJ stuff, if that makes sense. And we obviously communicate and go, oh, that shot is sick. That shot isn't very good. We always know roughly what stuff looks like, and we're always reviewing footage, really. We're not one of those camera crews that never review their footage.
To be fair, though, I think that Locksfest, the DJ, I think that was all one shot.
Yeah. Well,
It tends to
it
be
was on
one
the
take and
Ronin,
you-
so...
Pick bits out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on the Ronin, that's understandable.
Yeah.
I hate when people do a one take for no need. So I know we've all done it at one point where you just leave the camera recording.
Too
That was
lazy
me
to
for a
click
whole
the red
year.
button.
But no, for music videos, it makes sense because it makes it so much easier to sync. Don't press stop because it's just easier for the edit.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a event coverage where you're cutting between different, like, so you're cutting between a crowd shot and a band shot, that should be separate clips so I can identify them.
Yeah.
Also, that's one of the reasons we try and use a slate now for all the narrative work.
Yeah, so we know
'Cause
what that clip's going to be.
identification of clips
Yeah.
is so much easier.
Yeah, that is a good thing.
Makes sense.
It was a good question, Dan. What about you? How would you go about it, especially for like your wheeled stuff?
The wheeled stuff, it tends to all be done in one take because nobody has the time to do another one. So you don't tend to pick out footage for it, if I'm completely honest, which sounds really bad. But most
Okay,
of the
so
time,
you want to explain this for the people that aren't from the Weald?
Okay, so for the Weald videos, what tends to happen is I'll get an email.
Which is a school.
Yeah, it's a school. I get an email from the teacher who's doing that video assembly like a couple of days before it needs to be released saying, hey, can we do a video? And I will, for some idiotic reason, always say yes to them. So I will say yes,
experience.
we'll book a date for filming. It will tend to be in the studio, so it's locked off, tripod, microphone on them. And we'll probably do a couple of takes. But what I sometimes get them to do, which is helpful when it comes to the edit, is say what they want on the screen before they start talking about it. So I did an assembly recently for one of the teachers, and I got them to say next slide after each bit, so I know when to change the slide, and they say put video here in edit. So I tend to listen back to it and then edit off of that when it comes to editing that kind of footage.
Yeah.
But
the Weald videos are so interesting because they change so often. Like, for the people who aren't from the Weald, because I know we have a few people because I did an Instagram survey, and like the Weald is such a weird environment for videos because obviously we started Weald TV, so we started a Weald TV, which is like their production sort of in-school production team in 2018.
4 years ago now.
Was it 4 years ago?
Yeah,
It was 20
Well, it's just coming on 4 years ago, I think.
The studio was built
2017.
2017, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so God, that's a long time ago.
It's 4 years.
So basically, that involved me picking a load of kit, and they got a government grant, and they built a studio with all the stuff you need to record and that. And they trained a load of kids to use it. But the videos that they get Dan now and Tom to film are so varied. Like we did a sports day, assembly video, gold awards, 6 on spectacular. It's all so different, but I suppose that's good for you guys and your experience.
Yeah, it definitely keeps you on your toes when you're filming and editing pretty much within a week, ready for publishing on Friday to get checked by the leadership team.
It's how I learnt how to edit.
Yeah. The fact you don't have much time, you have to make sure the edits count and the takes count, because you don't want to be spending hours after shooting scrolling through all of your footage trying to find what you need. So you learn to do it perfectly first time, and it takes a very long time to do that.
Which I'm not going to name names. However, some of the people in Weald TV, they obviously never listened on how to use the equipment, because there was one time I edited one video for them because it needed to be done. I never really edited the videos anyway. It was horrible. It was dreadful.
They've improved a lot.
I would hope
recently.
So.
We did a workshop.
It's been 4 years. I would hope they have.
We did a workshop. I came in and helped them out. And
that editing workshop was quite good,
because it gave them a basic understanding. Because you have to remember, a lot of these are young students who the Weald don't really have a media department. No offense to them, but they don't.
Yeah, it's based off English department.
So it's getting them that experience, which I know a lot of schools don't have. So they are very.
It's very lucky to have something like that. I think the best way to learn that kind of editing, and the brilliant thing about the editing day, is they just got to sit down for a day, not necessarily play around, but play around with all of the footage and learn how to do things just in their own time, in their own way. And that's how you develop the best understanding of it.
And we gave them footage that could actually be edited well, and then we gave them footage that couldn't be edited well.
Yeah, and they had to decide which clips to use and things like that. And I think all of their videos that day turned out really well, because they got 4 hours to just play around and make something work. Whereas in the real world, when it comes to doing this sort of thing, you don't get that 4 hours of playtime to make the edit work. It has to work in an hour, or the video's not going to be published.
To be fair to them, though, in the real world, you've probably already done hundreds of hours beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are just students at the end of the day.
It was a good thing
experience
to
for
do.
them.
It was definitely good. I think one of the things that I learnt from that, because I was helping run that course, was tips that people use for editing, like little shortcuts that they do to do certain techniques and that sort of thing. There's so many little bits and bobs, especially in Premiere Pro, that you can do to make the edit look a lot nicer or work a certain way. Do you have any of those sorts of tips?
I know I always tell people to make a custom workspace.
Yes.
Nobody ever does.
Oh, I do.
So people that don't know, Premiere has like a view and a workspace. So you can basically customize the way you want it to look, the software. So I have it custom set. So I have my effects in the top left. I can remember it off by heart because I've edited so many videos. Effects in the top left, audio next to it, preview, grading is always on the right, always up. Then the standard position for the timeline and the media box at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then I have a second display, a TV, which is color accurate, that I put the preview on as a copy. But I always tell people, set a custom workspace because it will work so much better in your workflow if you like and understand the workspace you've been given or
If
set.
you feel comfortable in it, you'll work a lot quicker and a lot easier in it. That's definitely
See,
a good tip.
for my custom work one is I use 2 monitors for it as well. So the main monitor, the entire bottom section is the timeline. Top right is the preview. Top left is audio monitoring. Of all the channels, and then on the other screen, the left side, the top and bottom of it. The top is the effects, the bottom of it is the effects properties. And then the right side is the media box with all the footage in it. That's what I
your
use.
footage bins. Okay.
Yeah, see, it depends on, because I have an ultra wide as well, so my timeline is just naturally long.
Yeah.
And I think that does affect on what you're editing it on, etc. Because before I had an ultra wide, I'd do the same. I'd move the media bin to another monitor and use it there because it's clearer for footage.
Yeah.
What about you, Dan? What about you?
Oh,
what's your workspace look like?
Because, so just for clarification here, I used to edit quite a lot of videos on my PC, but my PC could be in a museum at this point. It's that vintage. So I've stopped editing on it recently and moved to my MacBook Pro as for something that costs a lot more and has a lot less specs, it runs a lot better.
So what you're saying is you need to buy
But
a new
isn't 10
PC.
years old?
I need a new PC at some point, but that's a whole nother story. But in terms of editing on the Mac, what I'll tend to do is I'll plug in an external display. So I bought Ben's old ultrawide off of him. So I'll plug into that and have my main timeline and stuff all on there. And then I'll have my footage bins and stuff on my MacBook screen below. So I have 2 sources to go from for that. That tends to be my layout.
Yeah, no, changing workspaces, number one technique or tip, whatever you want to call it.
It's a really good idea.
I'm trying to think of other like advice for people that are just starting out.
Shortcuts.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Learn
Use
the shortcuts.
It's
incredibly useful.
When you're, I can't remember if it was default, but I've definitely set them to it. So you know when you've got a bunch of clips and you need to trim the back of it or the front of it down.
Yeah.
I've set it so Q will trim behind, W will trim forward.
Okay.
I don't remember if that's default or not. I definitely remember setting it.
I don't think that's default.
So I'm never having to like click the cutting tool, then click it, and then delete it, and then ripple delete. It does it automatically with that button.
Okay.
And then I've got a keyboard with macro keys on it, so I've got a couple of them set to ripple delete automatically. So if there's like a ton of stuff in the way, I just highlight the ones I want and click M3 for me. It will then delete it and ripple delete.
Okay.
So, and then click enter as well. If there's
See, I'm not a fan of having that like ripple delete magnetic timeline feel. So I'm the opposite. So I
want the blank
so
space.
anybody that doesn't like that, I recommend you use in and out points when selecting media. I know hardly anybody does for some reason, but it's something I picked up from. It's something I picked up from Avid. Like, so basically, you know how you get a source window so you can preview your footage.
yeah.
So what I do is when I've got my footage there, I'll pull it all up in the media bin and then source preview clips and go, okay, I'll double click it. Hopefully it's got a slate at the start if it's a narrative video so you can see what it exactly is. And then I'll go through the source window and I'll go, okay, the good section starts here on I on the keyboard, and then it ends about there, press O, and then drag it from there into my timeline, and only the bit I want is in there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I guess both ways would work though. It depends on
and then you
your
can
workflow.
and then you can still go you can see on your project, like on your media tab, what media you've used and what media you haven't, because the ones you've used have in and out points.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So that's how I like to do
That's
it.
pretty. To be fair, that's quite a useful thing actually. Know which ones you've used and haven't used.
Yeah, exactly. For especially like events where like you've got thousands of clips.
And you don't want to use the same one twice.
Yeah.
No.
That's quite
It's
good.
just really useful. I picked it up from Avid, but I've started using it in Premiere for like the last year. It's very, very useful. Has anybody used multicam in Premiere? I have not.
I've never touched
I've never needed it.
See, I do a lot of multicam work, especially last year, like where we're syncing it, and I will be with like these music videos and stuff. I'm just curious if it's better than just doing it manually, because I always like doing it manually.
I've never tried it. It will be something.
The problem
I'll
with
try
doing it
soon.
manually is you have 100 bloody tracks.
Yeah, that is a minor problem.
And you have to understand your layout. It gets very complicated very quickly.
I think
But I heard
it's
I heard
probably quite
multicam
useful for
simplifies it.
like if you were doing interview style stuff.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
want to cut between the two interview angles and the centre angle, I guess that could work quite well.
I know loads of people use it. I've never had the
touched it.
time to really, because I always prefer to do the video the way I know to do it, rather than experiment a new
Well,
way.
Time to experiment.
Yeah.
We'll try it out.
Maybe
at some
after we do this video at the weekend, we'll experiment with the footage.
We'll give all the people in the music video an interview.
We'll just sit
Wouldn't
them
add
down.
to the filming
We're doing a
time.
random interview, no context.
It won't even be related to the music video or their music or anything like that. It'll be like on, what do you think of the new, what do you think of the new PlayStation 5? Get their opinions on that.
To clear up, if any of the band are listening, we're not going to do that.
We're not doing that. Don't panic.
What
This
you
is
expect
entirely
that.
hypothetical. I have to say,
That long pause was me looking around trying to find something to talk about. I saw a PlayStation controller.
I have to say, one of the
Okay,
things.
should we?
Yeah.
I was going to say, should we move on to photo editing, because that's a whole different workflow.
Yeah, photo
That's
editing is a very different world, I feel.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't do much of it though.
No.
You guys do a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I guess. So, in terms of software, it's going to be pretty obvious the answers, but what do people use?
Windows Photo Editor.
Oh, God. No, Harry, get out of this podcast. You are banned.
No, it depends on the photo I'm trying to edit and what I'm trying to achieve with it.
Does it?
If I'm just doing like general photos, Lightroom.
Yeah.
I've
Adobe.
recently moved to the new Lightroom.
Because I told you to.
Yeah, I'm trying it out. I'm still kind of hesitant on preferring classic. But yeah, it's all right, I guess.
You'll probably get sinned by photographers for saying. See, I prefer the modern Lightroom. Most professional photographers hate it though.
Yeah, it's okay. I like the design of it, but like, yeah.
Adobe, if you're listening, add a side by side view, and I'll love it.
That's what we need.
If I want to do other editing where it'd be like removing something, anything like that, Photoshop, because
Okay. Yeah.
there's no other competition really.
But do you not-
I mean,
do you not
Affinity
put-
Photo maybe.
Do you not put the photo in Lightroom first though? That's what I
Well,
do.
no, but it depends what I'm trying to do with the photo.
Yeah.
So if I'm
true.
literally just wanting to remove something from the photo, bam, it's in Photoshop, it's done. But like,
See,
if it's a raw file and I need to touch it up for some reason with Photoshop, I just import the raw file and then you can do the raw editing there. It's the same
Yeah,
as Lightroom. If it was only that one photo, if it was
You're a
lots of them, I'd
You're a
Lightroom
Nikon
it.
shooter though, so something I've noticed is Sony RAW files don't work properly in Photoshop.
There's
I don't
been
know
a
if
new
it's
camera
my
raw
Photoshop.
update out this week to fix that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw it updating something to do with raw.
Yeah.
So recently I've had issues importing raw photos straight into Photoshop. So I usually go through Lightroom, select the ones I want to edit, and then right click, open them in Photoshop. And then for anybody that doesn't know, they automatically open in Photoshop and you can edit them.
Yeah.
It still doesn't sync across properly for some reason, but
It does on Classic.
Yeah, classic works perfectly fine. It's interesting because I was the other way round to Harry when it comes to Lightroom. So I started using the modern mobile version of Lightroom, but then I moved to classic. I actually prefer classic. It is much nicer. It doesn't look as nice, but the functionality is there, and I like the functionality being there.
I think I moved. I started on classic mostly because I had allegedly had pirated it.
Oh, allegedly, yes.
Allegedly pirated it from an alleged website, which I won't name.
Allegedly.
And then I managed to get a subscription for real cheap, allegedly, with all the apps. So, yeah, now I'm on paid, so I can try them all out.
Yeah.
So I've always had the Adobe Suite, so
yeah,
it doesn't.
In terms of picking out the photos, so say you've been out for a shoot for the day with either a model or you've been to London and you photograph some buildings. What's your process for picking out photos that you want to touch up and do all the editing with?
My main way I'll do it is, well, if I'm coming back from like London or anything like that, and it involves travel, I'd probably look through the camera anyway and delete anything I know I definitely will not be using.
Okay.
So I never do that.
Because if I like to scroll through and see what the day's got, and if there's like a photo in there that is generally terrible, I would just delete it.
You're saying you take terrible photos, Harry?
Yes. If I take some bad photos. But I think the main one is I would import it into Lightroom, and then it's more on the classic because that's the method I'm used to. Is I would go into the develop, and then I'll just click 5 for 5-star. I mean, I could flag it, but I started using starring before I knew that flags existed, so I stuck with starring.
Yeah.
And then I'll just go through. Yeah, I just go through them all, rate the ones I like. I literally do not bother with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just click 5 because.
Oh, I just press flag. Yeah.
I'll go through them all and then I'll sort by rated, and then edit those. Have a one last go through them, see if I change anything.
Yeah.
And then bam, export them.
Okay. It's a pretty good process. I tend to. I don't know why I do this, but in Lightroom Classic, and I think it's in normal Lightroom as well, when you're about to import a bunch of photos, you can select the ones you do and don't want from that folder. I tend to do it there. So I only import the ones I know that I'm going to want to edit or I might want to edit.
That's fair enough, yeah.
But I guess I don't go through my camera and delete photos that I know I'm not going to want.
I mean, when I say delete the photo, I usually don't do it very often because most of the time it's hard to tell on a camera
3-inch
screen if it's
very
good.
Hard to tell.
I mean, if the photo is generally like super blurry or it's completely out of focus, I won't even bother. Or your hands
in front of it.
Or your hands in it, yeah. But like the whole like going through it and rating it, it's really nice to go through them all and everything like that. However, it adds so much time to it.
Yeah, because you have to wait for them to import and then delete the ones you don't want once you've gone
storage
through and flagged
space.
them.
Like the Lox Fest or the Whisper Green run, where I had thousands of photos. Like camera made multiple folders for all these photos.
Yeah.
So that's how many there were. There's tons of them.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of times you guys had asked me, "Oh, when are the photos ready? We're ready to upload the video." And I go, "I haven't even finished rating them yet because there's so many of them."
Yeah.
And then when I finally finished it. Oh, that's brilliant! I can now edit these. Oh wait, no, I can't. I got another folder to rate. So it can be really useful for when there's like not that many, but as soon as you get into the 4-digit numbers and you need them done quickly, it can be quite a tedious process. So sometimes I might just go, right, I like that photo, rate it, edit it now, and then I can sort by rated and export them quickly later.
Yeah. So once you've picked out the photos you like, what's your process then? Do you instantly go for your presets panel and start playing around with presets, or do you do a bit of exposure and highlights and stuff like that?
So I don't usually use presets that much. I mean, like the other day when Ben and I had that walk with those photos, I did use presets because I managed to get the ones that you guys got. And I had to play around with them, especially given the fact I was on the new Lightroom. I thought I'd give it a try anyway. But usually, most of the time, I don't actually use presets. I will edit the photo, from the first panel and work my way through slowly. And then I'll get what I like, and then I'll Control-Shift-C it, so I get that preset I've just made.
Yeah.
And then I'll go through and apply that setting to each photo and edit it slightly. And then when it's a different photo entirely, I'll re-edit that and then do the same. So each one kind of has the same preset to it, but they're all custom made for each photo.
Yeah. See, I do that workflow, but instead of Control-Cing the preset,
settings.
I save the preset as a new preset.
So you can.
So at this point, I have like hundreds of custom presets, and I just name them like walk preset 2 or walk preset 1, and then
I guess that is one way of doing it, but that seems tedious.
Well, no, I do that because we quite often go on a walk, and I like the same look on an image from one walk to the other. So
yeah, it makes it
you
easier.
can quickly
Doing custom photo editing does make it a lot harder to make a photo
100%.
look similar, because obviously presets are inherently the same.
Well, yeah, presets affect every setting.
Yeah. So
Where if you do it custom, you have to go through all the settings.
For people who don't know what presets are, it's a bunch of settings that have been made by a user, and then that you click on that preset, it will apply it to the image. And normally you can buy preset packs off the internet. I know we've picked up a couple recently, and you just go through and scroll around until you see a preset you like, and that's my kind of process. And then I select that, and then I'll edit the image from there.
Even with the presets, like half the time you select the preset, but you're going to still be editing the photo, because most of the time these presets are way too extreme for the photo.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that the presets will give you a boost to the style you want, and then you refine that style.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
In terms of the presets we use, I know I bought a pack and we all now use it. It's a film emulation pack. Do you tend to like to try and emulate film in digital photography, or is it more you want to go through clean and clinical image with some bright and vibrant colours?
Depends on the project.
Depends on the mood.
Yeah, because like if I'm doing my car photography stuff, most of the time I don't try emulate film. I want bright colours, bright whites. Which when I did try use presets, you can tell which photos I've used a preset on probably is the colours are not nearly as bright as I would want them to be.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an American show I went to once, and I definitely used a lot of presets on those ones. And I really regret doing so, because after I had rendered it and had time to sit and then look away for a bit and then look back at them, and I already posted them at this point, and go, oh, wow, that's terrible. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
So that's another thing, is looking away for a bit and then coming back to it. So, you're not just focusing on this colour. You want to, break away from it for a bit.
You're refining your choices over a couple of days. That tends to be quite a good process to do, because in photo editing, you tend to be sat looking at the same images for a good couple of hours, and you become a bit brainwashed to it. But coming back to it the next day with a fresh set of eyes can point out things like, oh God, the highlights are really overdone in that image, and I didn't notice that last night. So coming back to it is quite a good idea.
Yeah, I have to say, I definitely, if I was going to change anything with how I took photos or editing, anything like that back in the day, the one thing I'd change is not the taking the photo, because that's a learning process. It was editing. I look back at them now and I go, that was dreadful. Why did I even like that? Why did some people say they love it? I don't know. I thought it was all dreadful now. So
one thing I'd go back and change is shoot raw all of the time.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
for God's sake. That's something I've noticed on my photography course recently. Everyone
like
shoots
shooting raw.
JPEG, and it hurts me inside. I know it's a bit more processed because you got to do your exposure in post and stuff, but please, for God's sake, shoot raw.
Yeah, it's like when I got my camera that and I was taking photos of it, and I saw the word raw, I'd go, oh, that sounds amazing, not knowing really what it was at the time. I go, that sounds amazing, I gotta have that.
Yeah.
So I just took it anyway. It sounded cool. Why would you not want something that sounds cool?
Yeah, I started by taking only JPEGs, and that was a mistake.
Yeah. So the difference between them, RAW captures all of the settings in your camera at the same time, so it allows you to edit things like the ISO a lot cleaner in post-production, whereas a JPEG is a much more compressed format and it doesn't record those camera settings as
JPEGs
well.
in general are just crap.
Yeah,
and usually
JPEGs
they're only
upset.
8-bit. So, yeah. If you want to make your photos look like an Instagrammer, use RAW.
And then use lots of presets on them.
Yeah, 'cause that's what the Instagrammers do.
That's what I do, so...
I think we should wrap it up here then, I guess.
Yeah.
That's been a pretty full episode, hasn't it, today?
Yeah.
So if you like this episode, make sure you tune in for next week's Wednesday. I have no idea what next week's is. We don't usually.
It's going to be on monster trucks.
Definitely.
Good luck, Harry.
These guys don't know it yet, but we're also going to have to record on Monday.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll see you next Wednesday. If you haven't already, follow us on Instagram, anything literally podcast. Let us know what you thought of the episode.
And if you want to just follow me, because I'm the coolest here, it's at Harry Shelton.
I mean, you do have the least followers here, so fair enough.
Yes, please come follow me. I have the least.
Oh damn, Dad's ripping into him. Okay.
I don't even have more than 200 followers. It's just depressing.
I hit 500 the other day and I'm modelling.
My second account nearly has more than you, Harry.
Right, let's end this here.
Okay, yeah. See you next week. Bye.
See ya. Bye.